We Need to Talk is sponsored by Mindful Care. You might remember my friend, Dr. Tamir Aldad, from a few episodes back. He just texted to let me know that Mindful Care is now accepting new patients. We all know how hard it is to find an in-network psychiatrist without a long wait list, but Mindful Care can see you same or next day for medication management, recovery, and group therapy. No wait. And they take Medicaid, Medicare, and commercial insurance. Visit mindfulcare.com or text or call 516-505-7200 to book your appointment today. This is We Need to Talk with Dr. Darcy Sterling, where I give you the tools and skills you need to love better so you can live better. Today's guest is a woman whose name has become synonymous with reality television royalty. She burst onto our screens with a big personality and an even bigger heart on Flavor of Love, and has since become an icon in the reality television world. I had the pleasure of working with her on Famously Single, where I taught her and the rest of the cast dating and relationship skills. And now she's also about to hit your screen in an exciting new show called House of Villains, premiering in October on E! Network. Today, I'm talking to her about the reality of dating when you're a reality star. I'm going to go behind the curtain to talk to the real person who is known professionally as both HBIC and New York, but to me, she's just plain Tiff. Tiffany Pollard, I am so fucking excited to get some time with you today to dive into your experiences of navigating love, fame, and all the stuff that has come in between. It is so fucking good to see you, Mama.
No, I swear, where are you right now? I'm about to come and Uber to you.
I think you need to come visit it.
I know I need to.
How great is this?
It's epic. It's in the moment. And I feel like anytime I sit with you, I know I can be transparent and real and not worry. And I love that. And I miss that for me because that's not always the case.
I can only imagine. It is so fucking good to see you. You're like food for my soul a little bit. The experiences on TV are a bit like summer camp. You bond with the crew and the cast in a way that you'll never lose that bond. And when I see you, I feel like I remember a summer vacation a little bit. I mean, it was a rough summer vacation. Let's just be clear. Y'all put me through the ringer, but it was a really special time in my life, and you will always represent that. But more than that, you represent a tribe member now, because we have been solid for years.
Yes. And to be with you and have went through so much, pandemic, loss, and still figuring out what I want is you're the perfect person to tap in with. I feel like you're going to actually help me catapult and figure out where I need to go next. If you weren't here for the next step, I think I would fall.
Oh man, Tiffany, you're going to make me choke up, and we haven't even started. It is my honor to be your friend. It is my honor to be your tribe member. And it has been as important to me to have you in my life as it sounds like it's been for you to have me in yours. This is a reciprocal relationship. And, I really do. I adore you. When I was thinking through what I wanted to ask you, first, I did a lot of research to find out what other people ask you, and I didn't want to ask the same shit because we do have a relationship, and I can help other people see aspects to your personality that they normally wouldn't get a chance to see the way I have gotten to see it. And one of the first questions that came across my mind is, how the hell did you even get into reality television? Would you mind telling me that story?
I would love to tell you that story because it's been so many moons ago. I swear I was just downstairs talking to everybody, and I was like, production, do you realize it's almost 20 years since I've been in the game? I literally prayed to God on my mom's couch. I'm like, I want to be famous. I want to do something with myself. I want to do something with my life. And then a year later, I went to Los Angeles and I walked down Hollywood Boulevard. And this man named Terrence Martin, he approached me and he said, "Do you want to do reality TV? I have a perfect show for you. You'd be great in it." You know what I told Terrence? I said, "No." I thought he was trying to hit on me. You are not even my type. But he followed me into the store and he wouldn't let me alone. He said, "Just trust me, take this opportunity, and your life will never be the same." So I gave him my contact information, and literally the rest is history.
And so what was that first experience like? Was it literally he had a show already sold, or did he have to do a development deal with you? How did it work?
Well, I feel like Terrence Martin was a casting kind of director or finder of talent for the
Yeah.
Flavor of Love. So he's like, "Are you single? There's this bachelor." He didn't say a name, didn't let me know who it was or what from walk of life they were from, a rapper, actor, didn't know. But once I went for casting, they were like, "Yeah, we want her on the show." And I was just single and honest, and I was enough, and that felt right.
And I was enough, and that felt right. That is so profound. This is why you are that's why you're reality royalty, because you really are who you are. I mean, television does get to see certain parts of you. I don't think they ever show you in your full reveal because, they've got you pigeonholed. You serve a purpose, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Um, and then, so that was your first experience. And what was that like for you?
I mean, I'm from upstate New York, so I'm used to being in a small population, a small town. So when you're talking Hollywood, you're talking California, and you're talking about giving a girl $100 a day at 23, you're like, "Oh, if I last all episodes, I come out with $2,300."
Hell
All
yes.
this bright lights and stardom and all that stuff for a young person who doesn't have legal know-how and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So it felt great. Like that moment felt like I was alive. I was going to be seen on television.
And did it change things? It changed everything, that moment?
I felt like it did once I got in the house and I met Flav, met all the girls, and pretty much knew my assignment. I would never forget Mark Cronin. He walked out on set and he told all us young ladies, I think it was about 21 or 22 of us, he said, "Just don't be in the background. Make sure you stand out, make a splash." And once he gave that beat, I said, "You know what? I got to make sure I stand out and don't go home." So I just ran with that and coasted through.
That's amazing. And how shortly after that did your life transform? Was it literally a Cinderella moment?
I felt like I really thought Flav was going to pick me at the end, but obviously he did not. But the producers, I felt like they wanted to give me another try. Love wasn't really at love, but more camera time, if you will. Maybe they felt like
Mhm.
my 15 minutes should prolong. So whatever that magic was, I was grateful to live in that moment. So when they called me when I went back upstate, once he eliminated me and they were like, "Hey, do you want to look for love on your own?" I'm like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I?" So then I took that opportunity and then there was I Love New York.
Wow, and that was really the thing that just, like, catapulted you to a different dimension,
I feel like it was because I put my heart in it.
and it showed. You and I have hung out, and that experience with you, that was such a fucked up day
Yeah.
because I don't know if you recall, but Steph and I had just suffered a severe loss. We had just lost a member of our family, and that was not the kind of situation that you signed up for. And so I texted you and I was like, "Listen, we are in the throes of it. We are in the throes of grief. I don't know that I'm going to be able to be fun.
No,
My
I
wife is
know.
probably not going to be able to be fun. If you want to reschedule," and you said, "No, I'm coming. You show up however you are." And I had Tiffany, New York. Now, I didn't know you that well yet. We
Yeah.
had just done the show, but I
Yeah.
didn't know you the way I know you now. And you came into the house like we just lost a family member, and you showed such a compassionate, sensitive part of yourself to us. If you hadn't come in that way, well, first of all, it was so healing. I'll never forget how
Oh,
you showed
thank
up for
you.
me. And I know that you have gone through some losses in the last year, and you have
Yeah.
thanked me profusely for being there for you. And I always forget to thank you back. I always forget to say, do you remember how you were there for us when we
No,
were like,
I feel almost responsible to like give you a hearty apology because you and Steph were so much fun that night that
well, we turned into fun because
oh
you
my
didn't come and
God.
you didn't demand it. You walked in and you were prepared to let us be however we were. And then the healing began, and we were like, well, girls got to eat. Let's go out to eat. And
Yeah.
then from there, um, that was
It
some
was
night,
so
man.
what
That
happened
was
tonight?
such a crazy night. I literally, after that night, Tiffany, I did not drink for 30 days. And
Not
I
30.
have never gone. I've never somebody who has gone 30 days without drinking. Maybe I should have. I've subsequently dialed down my drinking quite a bit. But like, I was we had so much fun.
So much fun. I swear, like that night is like one of the most remarkable nights. You know how you stamp the nights into like the ones you won't forget? Literally one of those type of nights. But at the same time, I feel like, Darcy, you saying I'm a shoulder, but you're that same shoulder for me. Like it doesn't matter how much time we kind of like not speak. It's like soon as we speak, everything goes right. And you
Mhm.
let me be as open as I need to be, even if I feel like other people are not getting it right now, or even if I feel like I don't understand what I'm feeling right now. I don't think you understand how important it is to have someone who is literally a therapist, but a friend and a
Mhm.
confidant
Mhm.
in these places in life where you're supposed to be happy, but you're not happy. Like you
Mhm.
help me make it make sense, even if it's supposed to make sense and it doesn't. So I really salute you for being there for me at the same time.
You're welcome, and thank you for that. What strikes me about this conversation is that is not ever how producers portray you on television. They do not show this side to you often.
Mhm,
They show the bigger than life part of you, and people could get confused and think that that's all there is to you.
mhm.
So I'm curious, how do you balance your authentic self on TV with the persona that that the producers want to portray you as? Do you ever feel like there's a tension between the two, or like you can't step out of character?
Well, the older I get, I feel like I pledge allegiance to myself, whereas before it was almost pledging allegiance to them.
The network.
What do they want? What do I have to be? Let me do that. But now at this age of 42 and approaching 43, I feel like I really need to feel inspired by what I do and what I'm lending my voice and myself to. So it's a little bit easier for me now than it was before to just be more navigating on what Tiffany needs. What do I want? You know?
So, how do you make your choices about shows? Because I will say that my team has drilled this into my head too much because it's been a minute since I've been on TV and had my own show. But they're like, passing on the wrong show is as important as saying yes to the right show. So, what do you look for when you say yes to a show?
I think it's true. I think you have a really good team around you. I'm gonna say just last week I turned down 3 shows. It didn't matter about where they wanted me and what the pay was. It was like, I'm not just not doing that. I don't want to be that. I don't need that to be me at this time in my life. So, it's like you don't know if you're like, oh my goodness, but that's the airtime, that's camera time, that's this, that's that. But it's like, when do you say, what about me? What do I want to do with myself? So that's where I am. It's a parallel. It's not always easy. You turning down this, turning down that. It's like, oh, I could add this money up and put that there. But what about what you really want to feel passionate about? I feel like I have to live with passion now.
So, what does light your fire?
Things where I don't have to be the aggressive, angry woman all the time.
Amen. Amen, because that is who I thought you were.
Yeah.
That and part of the reason, I think part of the reason they gave me the show on E is that I was so television pure. Like I was not well versed in any of the shows that any of the cast members were on.
Mhm.
But I did get a rundown on everyone, and I was so pleasantly surprised to see that because of course everybody is so much more multidimensional than how we're portrayed on TV. I remember after the 2 seasons of Famously Single that I did, I was putting together a new reel, and I asked one of the executive producers, I was like, "Hey, can you send me all the cuts where I'm funny?" They were like, "Yeah, we'll get back to you in 2 hours." They got back to me. They were like, "We don't have any of those cuts. We dropped them. We didn't portray you as funny." I'm like, "You didn't
Yeah.
portray." First of all, I was like, "What do you mean you didn't portray me as funny?" I often am too much of a wise ass. I can drop too many jokes, and I do have to ground myself, but I use humor and play in my work because I think we all take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
I'm the first to say, make me the brunt of the joke. I will
Yeah.
happily be the brunt of the joke. I love self-deprecation. And I was surprised and disappointed to hear. I was like, you don't have anything funny that like
Right.
you have no funny clips of me? What the fuck?
Hello? Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
look, I'm not a walking comedian, but I definitely humor is my love language. I tease to show love.
Exactly. But that just goes to show how when they want to peg you how they want to peg you, you're going to go across how they want. And you know that's not you. You know that there's wit and humor there. And you know you lead with that, and that helps you in your practice. Because I tell you, you're a therapist, but you're not a therapist because you're so cool. Like you're so friendly. You're like what you would not think when you think therapist.
You know,
So,
it's
I
so
mean,
funny.
it makes sense.
When I reflect on the roughest parts of television, it was over the way I was presenting myself. The fights to get me in a black pantsuit, Tiffany, I wasn't having it. I was
What?
like, you didn't hire an actress. You didn't hire an actress. You
Mhm.
didn't hire an actress. You hired a human being like I'm representing myself. If I
That's
was an
true.
actress, I wouldn't care what you did with me. You know, I used to model. I didn't say anything about the clothes or the makeup or the hair that they put me in.
Right.
I was work for hire. But if I'm going to be representing myself, I want to be representing myself in a very specific way, which
Yeah.
is the way I am in real life. So what do you look for when I get that you don't want to be the angry, aggressive person on the cast? So what draws you to something? That's what repels you, what pulls you in.
When it's lighthearted, when it's something where we don't want you to be the one that's causing the drama, maybe diffusing it. That's what I feel like I'm part of.
And you're good at it.
It's the whole thing now.
You're
Yeah.
very good. That is a
Thank you.
natural state for you. That because I've seen you do. Look, I saw you do it throughout the entire filming. It wasn't necessarily what was represented because you know
Right.
you had a different role in that moment. But I did see you diffuse a lot of things. I know you as somebody with a lot of empathy who feels for the underdog.
Absolutely. I am like the poster child for the underdog.
How do you think your TV persona has impacted your dating life?
I feel like a lot of men think I'm way more easy than I actually am. Like, I'm not a party girl. I just want to sit there, watch a horror flick, and have like some popcorn and maybe a corn dog. You know, I'm just really easygoing. Like, you know, it's not all about sex and stuff like that for me. It's more so like connecting mentally and emotionally and holding hands and stuff like that. I feel like that's my love language. And of course, gifts is my love language. I want to shop. But, you know, as far as like, I feel like, you know, if you're going to do a love show, people are going to think you're a nympho. That's not who I am.
So how do you course correct that when you're in front of someone? How do you even meet people? Do you do online dating?
You know, I would absolutely struggle with online dating because I feel like they say Plenty of Fish is supposed to be a safe app, but then there's a lot of crazy men on there. but I am still with the same person that I was with when we went out to dinner. Like that is working.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. That's been a long time. How many years?
I want to say it's going on 5 years.
Wow.
I feel like no relationship is perfect. I feel like in any and every relationship, there's a give and a take, a sacrifice. Like you could be so many points here with this, but then it's like, oh, we don't like the same this or the same that. But here you're like hitting the A plus. Is that
Yeah.
how it works?
It is how it works. Relationships are the hardest thing to make work. And, I was just hanging with my niece, my co-host of the podcast, and my sister, her mother, this weekend in New York. And Steph and I have been through some really rough times. I mean, we've been married 15 years together, 19 years,
Oh,
friends, best
beautiful.
friends for a couple years before that. And my sister was checking in on me. She's from down south. We don't hang so often, a couple times a year, that's it. And she's like, "How are things with you and Steph?" And I was like, "I am so glad I stuck it out with her. I am
Oh,
so glad I stuck it out with her because the love I have for her is
mhm.
so profound, and the like I have for her, now don't get me wrong, she makes me crazy, and that is
Good.
why we bought a beach house because
Okay.
I needed some space from her
Yeah.
because it was just too intense during the pandemic, 2 therapists working out of a New York City apartment, like, we were
Mhm.
not okay. We were
Yeah.
not okay. We were managing our own panic attacks, at the same time holding space for every one of our clients who was simultaneously in a crisis, and our clients are not they're my goal is to keep them out of crisis
Right.
as much as possible, and so to have every single client of mine and hers, plus the 2 of us, be in a crisis at the same time and be working out of the home, it was not looking good. It was looking very, very negative. We bumped the couples counseling up from 2 times a week to 3 times a week to 4 times a week. And
Oh
then I
my
was like,
God.
we're renting a house. I need a little bit, we need space. You need to be able to walk the dogs without feeling like you're putting your life into you're at risk of dying because there's no social distancing in New York City.
Right.
When you have dogs, but even like to get your food, to get your mail, do your laundry, you are communal. We live communally. And it was terrifying because everybody's got a different threshold for death, and my wife's is 0. My wife's threshold for dying is 0.
Oh wow.
So her level of anxiety was so high,
Yeah.
and we rented a house, and then eventually we bought the beach house that you'll be hanging in when I see you
I
next.
cannot wait. I'm gonna make
And
guacamole for us.
I think that's amazing. I look forward to that. It's one of the few things I can still eat. Um, but but you know, that was such a hardship on our relationship. It really put some scar tissue on our relationship. And there were some moments where I wasn't sure. And I was like, how does a relationship therapist even navigate a failed relationship? How does the poster child for love
Yeah.
navigate public facing if this doesn't work out?
Right.
So we just we leaned in so fucking hard and in ways that were so unnatural to me
Yeah.
and to her. And we've been solid now. It's been a couple of really good years, and the last year was just fucking tremendous, which I'm so grateful
Oh,
for. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you asked
thank
the
you.
question, like
Yeah.
this is normal, right? Like you don't love all the parts. No, you
Right.
don't love all the parts. You don't even like all the parts. Some of the
Right.
parts make you really crazy. And you
Yeah.
gotta find something to do when you're feeling crazy. You gotta step away,
Yeah.
de-escalate, come back as your better self. So
Okay.
it's totally normal not to like love every part of you're not going to love every part of your partner. And there are going to be years where you kind of hate them.
Okay.
It's a long-term relationship. Is there
Mhm.
anyone in your life you haven't sort of hated on a little bit that you've had for decades?
Right. I love how you put that.
I mean, Michelle Obama said she hated Barack for a decade.
That's a long time. That's
That's a
a long
long
time.
fucking time. I was like, that is so important to put out there and to normalize. Yeah. So Tiff, the relationship's going well, huh?
I feel like it is because this person has had my back like I've never experienced. Like he literally tells me I'm his world and he makes that in actions. So I've never had this much attention, this much love, and
You feel held.
yeah, just really on me in a way. But then, we might have different tastes in, let's say, style or music or, those types of things. But when it comes down to having Tiff support it, it's 100%. And those are the things I don't want to compromise and walk away from because I know I can't find that around the corner.
Because it's not easy. I mean, you're not in one location. You're traveling. I'm guessing he's got a life outside of your career. Where does he work for you?
Well, I feel like he's just going to be wherever I need him to be. He's retired. So it's just like, Tiff, what do you need? I'm here. It's very catering. I can't do anything. Like if I sit down, he's immediately rubbing my feet. Like it's just always about me. And I know I can't find that anywhere else. So it's like, okay, do I compromise and listen to rock and roll when I'd rather be listening to hip hop? That kind of thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, you have such a clear career trajectory. I would think that you would need this kind of partner because behind every successful partner, I think, is when there's a partner, it's a supportive one. It has to be because we're only as successful as our partners are willing to let us be and to support us to be.
I'll miss that person if they weren't in my life. And that's how I weigh it in my mind. It's like, okay, if he wasn't here, how would I feel? If I was with another man, the other man's head would go like this as soon as a huge giant ass or something of another woman would turn. He's not that. He's just strictly on me. It's almost like I'm the only person that exists in the universe whenever we're together. So I don't want to give up on that just because maybe, okay, you're not wearing the brands that I want you to wear. You're not listening to what I want you to listen to. Like, that's like foolantry next to the way he passionately loves me.
And I would imagine there's something soothing about the fact that he's been in your life half your career. Because I remember the hurdles. I mean, I know the hurdles that people with large platforms contend with. To meet new people is to be suspicious of their motives at
Yeah,
first, isn't it?
absolutely. And I just feel like he doesn't care about any of this stuff as far as, are you happy? Do what you want to do when you want to do it, but are you happy? Are you okay? That kind of thing. There's no pressure to be New York or to surpass what I did years ago, or, it's just, where are you at? Are you happy? And are they treating you well? And are you getting what you should get and what you deserve? Let me look at that contract for you. Oh, this is not right. Let's, get you where you need to be.
It sounds like you have a man, a grown man, not a boy, not a boy, not a player, but like an adult in the room. There's another adult in the room with you. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that for you because I care so much about you. When I watch reality TV, I always think to myself, especially when it's good reality TV, because there's trash and then there's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
As painful as it is to be on a reality television show, it's such a great opportunity to be able to see yourself in real time, because in real life, we don't actually get to go to the videotape of how we actually behaved unless you're living in this house, which is completely wired with cameras everywhere. And then we can go to the videotape to see who fucked up in an argument. But reality television gives people, most people aren't nuts like us and don't have cameras everywhere. But reality television gives the people who are on it an opportunity to really see things that they might not otherwise see. I think in its own way, it's its own source of therapy. Has being on TV allowed you to see things in yourself that you wouldn't otherwise see?
I feel like I like to live those reality moments in the moment. And I really typically don't watch myself for that reason because I feel like I'm going to have a super conscience and I'm gonna like rethink things, say, oh, I should have never said that, or I could have did that better. So I kind of like give that to the world to make what they will of it. It's been working so far,
No, it
but
totally has.
some things you just can't predict when you're walking through them. So I feel like I'll just live it out and just let the chips fall where they will, because it's just so hard to critique yourself on those levels. I feel like it's hard for me anyway.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I am forever searching for the grains of truth and how I can be a little bit better. And I know that it gets in the way of how I show up on
Yeah.
television. I know it. I'm such a perfectionist. And I know, like, this is one of the most organic conversations. Anyone listening to this, you'll never see a more organic conversation, I don't think, than the one you're listening to right now. Because I can't follow a script with Tiff, A, and B, she's so fucking good at what she does. I don't have
Oh
to worry.
gosh.
I don't have to set you up. I try to set other people up for success in the interviews. I don't have to do that with you. So this is about as organic as I ever get. But it absolutely does get in the way. What an interesting spin on that. Do you learn about yourself through reality television? No, I give that to the world. That's my craft. Darcy, how does over editing yourself get in the way of your career? Well, let me think about that, Tiff. It does all the time, but not in this episode. It does get in the way. I don't do live television whenever I can avoid it. I try not to do live television. It gives me anxiety because I want to be perfect, but like that's so unrelatable to people, but I can't get out of my own fucking way, which is why I would never be an appropriate cast member. I'm better a host.
I love you as the host.
So what's one thing that you wish people knew about reality TV that they don't know?
I think people need to know that it's okay to not be fabricated. You can be yourself. You don't have to drive home what the nation feels a reality star has to live up to. You don't have to be full of drama. You don't have to be full of chaos all the time. You can just really give a voice to what you are uniquely, because the world needs to feel what you have to offer. So I hate that cookie cutter thing that I feel like a lot of times people feel like they have to live up to, because it's not true.
Well, because you were like the original. You came of age during the original wave of reality television. And from you and your cohort of reality stars and co-stars came archetypes. And I think
Mhm. That's
that,
great word.
because it worked,
Mhm.
as you said, others just want to rinse and repeat it. And I don't know if they realize that who you are is just who you are.
Yeah. I just dial it up a few notches, you know, go off, turn it up, but you can be yourself. And I feel like a lot of people ask me, like, oh, where do I find my confidence? Or how do I do this? How do I do that? But I feel like if you just tap into who you are, all those answers are not with me, they're with you already. You come with the component. I wish
Yeah.
people could understand that.
And they would be more successful if they did, because really, we're not looking for the next Tiffany. We're not looking for the next Kardashians. We are
Yeah.
literally looking for the next you.
Yeah. And that's why I say always, you're enough. Like the young
Yeah.
lady that I'm doing press with right now, earlier today, she's like, oh, I'm nervous. I'm this and I'm that. You're the moment. You're enough. You wouldn't be here. They wouldn't have tasked you if you didn't have what it takes. So when people dial it back and look at it that way, it's like, oh, I can do my job.
So you're literally calming down the interviewers. You're literally walking into an interview and they're being vulnerable and saying that they're really nervous to be in front of you. And you're like, you wouldn't be here if you weren't enough.
I'm trying. I'm trying to give it out. I'm spreading the word.
You're just so amazing. You really, really are.
Oh,
Is
God.
there anything that would make you quit?
I feel like I have a love affair with the industry. I really don't feel like I'm in the industry. I feel like he or she nudges me, and if I'm available, I answer the call. But I feel like a novelty. So if the assignment fit and the timing is right, I feel like I'll always show up and I won't quit that way. But I don't want to put any pressure on myself to stay relevant or to stay in the game. It just has
Mm.
to fit my life and feel right about what I'm doing because I have to feel passionate now. So that's the personal talk I'm having with myself. Do you feel passionate and are you inspired?
And you're not in therapy, and this is how you're rolling through life. You sound like somebody who's very fluent in therapy. You sound like a grown woman. You sound like somebody who has done a lot of self-reflecting over the course of her life. I know that life has bitch slapped you plenty.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. 100%. I mean, I go through things. I mean, I have my day. It's like, oh, this doesn't feel good, or what's going on up here. I feel like the upstairs, the battlefield of the mind is always real. You're not gonna feel 100% on all cylinders out of 10 every day. That just can't happen. We're made of chemicals, everything's not gonna be okay all the time. But in those days, I'm like, tomorrow might be better. If not tomorrow, the next day will. But you have to kind of talk through it.
Is your mom still alive?
She is. You know what? My mom is alive. She's well, and she's aging backward.
I love that. Is
She
she
looks younger than me.
I don't know why I'm imagining this, but is she a source of inspiration?
Absolutely. I feel like my mother is the strongest person that I know. If I felt like I can be straightforward, she is the definition of past straightforward. She will tell you how it is, whether you like it or not, and in between. She don't care where the chips fall after she has to lay her law down. I have yet to reach those levels in life. Like I still have period of, oh, that could be so real, but she's the strongest woman I know for sure.
And what's her advice to you on those days when things just don't feel right inside you and you're just not having an easy time moving through the hours?
I feel like when that's like that, I snail up. Like I go into my shell. I don't
Hmm.
really talk to anybody when I'm like that. Like I don't really approach my mother or father or anybody else like that when I'm not somewhere where I feel good about.
But
Like when
that's
I
how
go,
we can all tell when you're fucked up because you're not reaching out. That
no,
is literally how people can know that you're not
yeah,
okay. Like
yeah,
your closest people. Because if I don't hear from you for a couple months,
hmm,
I'm like, huh,
yeah, I'm
something's
not
not
good.
right.
Yep. And you know what? I feel like my mother will give me those opportunities to step back. So it's like, and you're feeling better, she's good at giving me my space. And I feel like I need that. I'm one of those people that just really like, "Oh, I can't deal. Let me be
Because
over
you're
here."
because you're not a full extrovert. You're a combo, right? You need
Yeah,
your own space to refuel. I think that would be so surprising for people to hear.
that's surprising.
It is because again, you're portrayed as like the dialed up version of you.
Mhm. That's
And
true.
even you at 3 is pretty powerful.
Oh, yeah, I can be. I can be, but I don't want everybody to like me because I know that that is impossible and that is never the mission. But I just feel like while my time is here, that I have to just live in a capacity where I'm being real and honest with myself. Like I feel like that's my goal now. And it wasn't like that before.
How important are your friends for you in your life?
I feel like I need to make more emphasis in that direction because a lot of times I feel like I'm such a loner that I can kind of unfriends. And I know that that's not fair to people that are really in my corner and want to be with me and support me and be around me. But I can get really, really off into self. And
Mhm.
I know that's not healthy. So that's the area that I have to work on.
Well, it's really awkward when your natural inclination under distress is to turtle up a little bit
Mm-hmm.
Snail up as you described it. And
Mm-hmm.
and then the people that love you, your posse, your tribe, they want to be there to support you. It can feel very, very conflicting if your
Mm-hmm.
natural inclination is to just isolate and ground yourself privately. But also, I hear you that it is you're going to part of the reason we're close is because you walked in at a terrible time in my life. That
Mm-hmm.
day that epic night out that we had years ago,
Yeah.
like that bonded us. I could not,
Oh my
like
God.
I cried in front of you, like I could not keep my shit together.
Yeah.
And so when we let people into our lives like that,
Mm-hmm.
it really does forge a bond, as awkward and uncomfortable as it can be. And then, I know I can go forever not talking to you and you're going to pick up my call.
Come on, of course.
And
1000%.
and I offer you that for as a fuel source to try and let some of the friends in
Yeah.
when you're having those moments as well, you know?
Mhm.
Because you'll feel tighter to them because of that. It'll feel uncomfortable in the moment, but people in your life who are in your life at this point, I think have been there for a minute
Oh,
and
yes.
think are already trustworthy. They're not screwing you over.
That's so true. I know I make a lousy friend, and that's the area I need to work on. And I'm trying to work on to give myself more because I can get really selfish just being with self, and that's it. But as
Mm,
far as, monetary or if you need this or that, oh, I'll do that. But
right. Contractual
I,
obligations, you're
yeah.
fulfilling it all. But in your downtime, anything that's optional, you're not really having it, huh?
But I want to get better. I think I need to get out. And it feels good because I wish I could hold your hand right now. Just seeing your face, I feel connected. And I feel like I don't give myself enough of that.
Yeah. I think we all need to give ourselves more of that. And we are connected. So I'm curious, do you have any questions about dating or relationships that you want to ask me?
I do. I do because you're married and you've been married for a very long time. And as you described, you've had your ups and downs in your relationships. And obviously, a summer home was the answer. But do you
500 more square feet was the answer. That's all it took.
but you're good now. You and Steph got it together. I feel like my question would be is when you plunge into marriage, how do you keep yourself and you don't lose yourself? Because I feel like a lot of people feel like once they get married, things change and they fall apart. And I've always been the fiance, but never the bride because I'm so afraid of that.
So you're afraid of losing yourself in your relationship.
Does marriage change things? I think that's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah. And so I'll tell you what I tell people who want to get married for the purpose of change. It doesn't change anything. The same problems you had before you got married, you're going to have after you get married. You may be riding the wave of the honeymoon, metaphorically and literally. After you get married, you're going to come off that wave, and everything that existed after the marriage or before the marriage will still be there afterwards. Marriage doesn't fix things, and it also doesn't necessarily break things. It's so important for us to maintain our own individuality in our relationships, whether we're engaged, married, or just dating. Because if you think about it, the person that was attracted, our partner was attracted to us initially when we were single and we had our own individual life, we had our own world, we had all our own things going on, and that is what attracted them to us. So if we merge and lose our whole identity within the relationship, then over time, and I hear this from men all the time, I miss the fierce, independent woman she was. And I don't know, I think it happens differently for different people. I don't think there's one reason why that happens. I think sometimes it's very convenient to have somebody always in your space if you're
Right.
cohabitating, and to not be looking to go out because you got company in. The reason we go out is because we're seeking something outside that's not here. And if everything, all our entertainment can be under one roof, then the reason for leaving the house diminishes. So it's really important to keep your own identity, to have girls' night out, guys' night out, and especially if you're gay, it doesn't matter. Gay people, we get in this rut because we are all guys or girls. So who are we
Yeah.
actually getting? You need a night out. You need a night out with the friends. Call it night out. Take the night out every week. Get out by yourself, miss your partner, do
Yeah.
individual activities, because what happens, and you could speak to this, I'm sure, is that when you get back together, when you come back together, not only is there someone now that you have missed, so you got all these good chemicals percolating inside of you, but in addition to that, you've got new content to bring to the relationship because you just had your own experience that your partner didn't have with you. And
So
now
true.
there's something interesting to talk about.
That's true. Because if your partner's on top of you and you're on top of your partner, figuratively all the time, it's like, okay, I need space. But
And the losing the identity is going to take something away. It's going to rob your partner of something special. When I work with people who have lost the spark, the first thing is we try to stop the bleeding. Let's stop the fighting and the bickering. Let's figure out what the bigger issues are in the relationship. Let's heal them. Let's teach some relationship skills so you don't bicker and fight as much as you had. But the minute the bleeding stops and the relationship skills are ingrained a little bit, the next thing I want to do is I want to hear, what attracted you to your partner in the beginning? Tell me everything you did with them. Tell me the music, the food, the lighting, the places, the sex. Tell me all of it.
yeah.
And now we have to start replicating it, because what happens is we stop dating. We stop
Right.
dating. We stop seducing each other.
Right.
Dating is exciting. Dating is seductive.
Mhm.
When everything is predictable, man, the spark does go out. It goes out. That plus the merge where two become one. That is not hot, folks.
That's so true.
Tiff,
But
if you haven't lost yourself yet with this guy, I don't think it's
absolutely
happening.
not.
I don't
I
think
just
it's
feel
gonna
like
happen.
marriage is just, it's just that. It's final. It's not scary, but it's just like, okay, you're married now. So you got to check in with the person. Cause I just like to do what I want to do and just go where I want to go. And I'm faithful, and that's enough. But if you're married, you have to tap in and be more specific about details and answer a lot of questions. And I'm very independent. So
Well, look, a marriage is a contract between people, and I think you get to negotiate what the terms of that contract are the same way you do with every network that signs you. So
true.
I would say, ask this lucky man who's got you, how much would you expect to change with marriage?
Mhm,
Could we be as we are now?
mhm.
There are compromises in every stage of relationship. Does checking it makes you feel strangled
Um, I
and
just
not in a good way?
I like to feel like I have wings. I always like to feel that feeling. I don't know if it's the Capricorn in me, but I just like to feel like I can go wherever I want to go and not answer to anybody. That's just how I feel. Even it could be innocent, but I just like to feel like I could do whatever I want, whenever I want.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are a negotiation. I mean, and I have seen people who have negotiated that in their relationship.
Mhm.
It doesn't sound to me like this man's trying to clip those wings. I could be
He's
missing
not.
something.
I don't think he is, but I just feel like there's a lot of, well, if we get married, will you still do this? Or if we get married, do you feel like you don't have to tell me, where you're going? So there's a lot of those type of questions. So when you say things don't change, they might once I get married. He wants to know more. So
Well,
I'm
why
like,
don't you practice giving a little more and see if you can still breathe?
mhm.
Just give a little bit more without him requiring it. Because the other thing is that if it's not coming from the partner and it's coming of your own free will, it feels less smothering. It
Okay.
can feel less smothering. So why don't you just do a little social experiment with yourself and try dialing up the connection or the communication 10% and see if you can tolerate it. And if you can, hold steady for a few months and then maybe try
Yeah.
10% more and see how that goes.
I think
And that
that's
way it's your
great.
idea.
That's great advice. Thank you.
Every so often, Tiff.
You're too much.
And they didn't find anything funny about me. What the fuck, man? Oh my God, Tiff. I adore you, and I could take up every second of your day today. Um, I think you know you will always have a sister in me. Thank you so much for carving
Likewise,
out time
ditto.
in the middle of your crazy press for this amazing show that I'm looking forward to. Is it still coming out on October 8th?
Oh my goodness. I think we have a sneak peek now on October 9th, and then it
Okay.
premieres October 10th.
Okay, I was a little off, but not that off.
No, you're like right on point, which we so appreciate all the press we can get behind it. They're really excited. Everybody's so excited for season 2.
Yeah, I'm excited for season Tiff. We Need to Talk with Dr. Darcy Sterling is a Sterling Standard production. Editing and sound engineering by Bart Migal. Our theme music is by Trending Music. Special thanks to Amanda Cristiani and Preston Smith. Make sure you tune in to E! Network's Season 2 of House of Villains to watch more of Queen Tiffany. We'll be back on Tuesday with another episode packed with the relationship, dating, and mental health hacks you have come to expect. We'll see you soon.